Nora Ntungu owns a workshop where she makes sweaters and school uniforms. She is articulate and a mother of 4 beautiful children. Through small microfinance loans, she has been able to start a small business, expanding it from a grocery to a workshop. She has been able to purchase a plot of land and is preparing to build a residential house on it. Buwembo Yosokofati is an artist. He makes crafts and other art pieces which he sells to tourists. He has built himself a beautiful house which is full of art pieces. Once in a while he needs to acquire a loan to service some large orders. Atusime Catherine is a businesswoman. She started doing business in 1994 with only 1,300 shillings, which is less than $1. She used the sitting room of her 2-roomed house and set up a salon for ladies. Using a small microfinance loan, she has expanded her business, which now includes a cosmetics shop, and has built a house which she rents. Lubega Thomas is a shopkeeper. He started by making mats and he graduated to being a carpenter. He raised some money which helped him to start a small business of selling cigarettes on the street. Using small microfinance loans, he was able to expand his business and now has a shop in Wakiso Township where he has built himself a residential house and is able to educate his children. All the above persons have 2 things in common. They are microfinance clients and they are all persons with disabilities. For a long time, persons with disabilities have been excluded from accessing microfinance services as a result of their disabilities. The Norwegian Association for the Disabled, through the National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda and Microfinance Association Institutions of Uganda, is funding a project to increase access to the microfinance services through a number of initiatives aimed at changing perceptions, attitudes and practices of both the microfinance institutions and the persons with disabilities. Ms. Asamo Helen Grace is the Deputy Director, NUDIPU.
This project came in after a research that was carried out by the Norwegian Association of the Disabled, and we found that persons with disabilities were not involved in the microfinance world.
Mr. David Baguma is the Executive Director, AMFIU.
Microfinance for people with disability is a program that actually provides the equalization of opportunities for people with disabilities so that they can also access financial services and improve on their socio-economic well-being. We at AMFIU, in collaboration with the Norwegian Association for the Disabled and the NUDIPU, brought out this concept of people with disability to make sure that they access financial services.
The project has identified a number of exclusion mechanisms that have tended to exclude persons with disabilities from accessing microfinance services.
My biggest challenge came when I joined a solidarity group of women who were able-bodied. The women took long to trust me because they took me for somebody who would not be able to pay her part. They demanded that my husband guarantees my loan. When my husband turned up, he was also a person with disability. It took the intervention of the manager who visited us and after assessing our projects, convinced the group to accept me. When I finally got the loan, it was my husband who signed for it.
On the side of my sisters and brothers who are disabled, we have what we call inferiority complex or low self-esteem. We believe that we cannot, and once you say you cannot, then you will not.
For those persons with disabilities who have overcome the self-exclusion mechanism, accessing the microfinance premises is another problem to overcome.
Microfinance emjentero kujjamu sente eya ongeza ebwayisa.
Sincerely, the place where we get our loans, Ongeza Microfinance, is not friendly to people with disabilities. They have very high steps, and even me who works with the aid of sticks has to struggle to access it.
The microfinance institutions themselves have not always seen the persons with disabilities as a market potential.
Originally, we used to have these clients, but we are not really minding about taking them as a special group that can be focused with the microfinance approach.
Some of the services offered by the microfinance institutions are designed in a way that exclude a lot of persons with disabilities.
I stopped getting loans from private microfinance because their conditions became too difficult to maintain. They required you to pay back on a weekly basis, and if you delayed even for a day, they would not listen. You are treated like a school child. With my condition, traveling weekly became too difficult for me.
The project has dealt with these challenges in two ways. NUDIPU has dealt with the exclusions concerning the persons with disabilities.
Specifically, in NUDIPU, what we are addressing is attitude change, especially among people with disabilities. We are out to tell them that, financial services are for everybody. And then another thing, we are giving them information about the various financial institutions in their locality, how they can approach them, how they should deal with them. We also have a package on savings. We are training persons with disabilities on the importance of saving, and we are encouraging them to always start small.
In the project, we started with training staff of microfinance institutions. So far, we have reached a total of over 520 members of staff in 5 selected institutions that were chosen to participate in the pilot. The second component is the training of the disabled persons themselves, which is being undertaken by NUDIPU, and so far over 1,500 persons with disabilities have received this training.
Many of these people with disabilities have really come out and have improved on their businesses. I'm happy to register that we are now having some good stories coming up. I could give an example of Uganda in Nebi district, which has taken up people with disabilities into their project.
The results are showing good positive response. That the number of people, or the disabled people have increased. Those who have been recruited or have joined the program, the attitude of microfinance institutions have really changed. Others have actually included it in their work plans as an affirmative action, if we can say so.
My message to all the institutions, I want us to look at this project as a win-win situation. Using words like we want to assist the disabled will not take us far since we are business-oriented institutions. Let's look at it as a win-win situation whereby when we serve the disabled, they benefit as we also benefit when we get them as customers.
When you get to people who are deaf, when they go to the institutions, there's a communication gap. When you reach the institutions, you don't get any material which is brailled, and we are calling upon the institutions at least to begin thinking of how do we introduce sign language. Sign language is something which is in the Constitution of Uganda. So the project did not cover all the categories of disabilities, and this is something we feel we could address specifically with the DPO.